Sabbath School.
Good morning.
The title of our lesson is what?
Resurrection faith.
Resurrection faith. And we are to turn to Mark or open up your Bibles. And we're going to read Mark 16, verses 1 through 8. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, mother of James, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came to the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. And they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very great. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting at the right side, clothed in long white garment, and they were afraid or frightened. And he said unto them, do not be afraid. Ye seek Jesus of Nazareth, which was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold, the place where they laid him. But go your way, tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall you see him, as he said unto you. And they went out quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for they trembled and were amazed. Neither said they anything to any man, for they were afraid. The question was, who were they talking to? Who told them to go? Who told them that Jesus wasn't there?
Angel.
The angels told them that. Okay. What do you think? Well, let me ask this question. I think I had a friend, or a co-worker, I should say, that was Jewish. And we didn't get into any debates or anything like that. But Christmas time came up, and we just started talking. And when we were talking, he had twofold. 50% of him, his mother was a Christian and his dad was Jewish. So he got both sides of the table, or he grew up with it. But he grew up in a Jewish synagogue. I think that's what they call it. He went to school as a little Jewish kid. And he said that they were always told that somebody stole the Bible. I'm sure everybody in there knows that, right? That somebody stole the body, I'm sorry. From there, they stole that some of the Jews
Stole the body of Jesus.
The body of Jesus. But I want to go back just a bit before we get deep into this. If you could just turn your Bibles or either look on the board. I didn't get to this last week, so I wanted to just go back and ask the question. When Peter was being needled about his identification with Jesus, it says, but he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not this man of whom you speak. And that's when the second time that the cock crew. And he was reminded what Jesus said. What does it mean by curse and swear?
I was angry. Angry.
He was angry?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
He was angry, but he wasn't cursing like the words we use as curse words.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
He didn't use no curse word. They didn't have no curse words in?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I wasn't there. I said, begin to curse.
Yeah, it says he began to curse and to swear. And I wondered, what was he saying?
Well, biblically, curse is not obscene languages that we call it.
Okay.
Like the F word,
All
yeah.
that.
Yeah, those are like profanity, right?
Uh-huh.
Back then, curse is like making a swear. I swear by God, I don't know the man. That's.
Well, through the opposite, it said curse and to swear. To
Yeah.
curse and to swear.
Yeah, he was really teed up.
Yeah, well, he was very teed up. But I kept looking at that, I said, I wonder if they had bad words back then, you know.
Probably did.
But we don't know them.
Right.
They probably called them something else, and then it was translated into English. And could have been it right here.
No, Mr. Teacher, no, Peter, according to the word of God.
Mhm.
You know that was Peter talking.
Oh yeah, we know that.
And the enemy was angry, and he was using Peter. Because Peter, I mean, if Peter, why would Peter deny a person that he know personally, unless he was afraid or something?
I don't
The
know.
people of the synagogue.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. But you're right. Sister Joyce is absolutely right. It wasn't Peter, but it was them, whatever you want to call them, demons. When I saw that, I said, I'm going to make that a part of the lesson to go back to see what curses to swear. But we know that how Satan is. So he can. Okay, so that's yes.
So today, what kind of curse word do you use today as a Christian?
Well, hopefully I should know none.
When you're angry.
None.
None.
How do you handle anger?
Oh, you know what? If somebody really ticked me off, I either walk away. That's number one. Walk away, or I just say, Lord, I do like Snookum did when I irritate him. What did he do? Lord, please don't let me say no bad words. I'm not trying to make light of it, but if someone really angry, I either try to walk away. I say what I have to say. But I had prayed years and years and years ago to ask God to remove that from me. And if I slip and say something, I'm human, but I don't want that language in my mind and my soul, any of that. So that's how I deal with it. I try to walk away or look at you and then just walk away. I try not to. If it's a situation where I could think that if I know that I have a good understanding, I'll use Berlin for instance, because he's the toughest. If I know that he really teed me off, I know that I either have to walk away from him or just say, look, this is not a conversation we're going to have.
Which is all the time.
Right. So because you're the pastor, number one, you're not any higher than anybody else as far as respect is concerned. But I have respect for everybody in here. But you're the leader of the church.
You gotta respect the
how
office.
dare I stand up and say anything to a man of God? Or
Which you do.
Well, I don't. You never heard me say any bad words or profanity. Have you ever heard me say profanity?
You're not a profanity person.
Okay, so that's what I'm.
But you use other words.
Like what? Give me one example.
Oh, you need help?
See what I mean? So you be pushing them buttons, Sister Joyce and then
Every day I fight a battle with self. Because somebody, and this is going on for a couple of years, call my phone sometimes 3 times a day and say nothing. And I want to get up and just challenge to death and but I said, no, the message that comes out before I couldn't do that. So I said, God, keep me. I said, I the person like to hear my voice or whatever. So I am really, this is one point I asked God, don't let me down. And I do not, I said, this don't bother me, God is scared to me. So I don't even want to avoid it. We have to put God in the mix because if we don't, I'm telling you, we won't fly off the roof.
Because I already had one.
Well, that's true.
Thank you.
And Sister Joyce brought this up, and I'm sure you guys have seen this on TV. Tommy called me yesterday. Somebody pretending to be from the Internal Revenue Service called him and left a message, and for him to call him back and left the number. So you guys know that this is a scam because so that you will be aware. So when they call and say that you have to pay this amount of money, that you're going to do this, if they're going to be knocking at your door and you're going to be going to jail and blah, blah, blah. So I said, Tommy, give me the phone number of who called you, because he was clearly distraught. He was clearly upset because he hasn't filed and he didn't know why they were calling him. So of course I called, the guy got a foreign voice. This is the Internal Revenue Service. And I said, sir, may I please have your address? And I did tell a little white lie, but it was a lie. I said, because I need to send you something. So he says, well, what is your phone number? I said, no, I need your address so that I can send something. But first of all, ma'am, I need to tell you, I need to get your address. And I said, look, So he gave me 1111 Constitution, the address of the White House up there in Washington.
That's a lawn. That's the White House lawn.
Really? Okay. I said, sir, you ought to be shaming yourself calling these folks up. Y'all need to quit this stuff because, see, you can't trace the number because those numbers are not traceable. You know, I don't know however they.
The FBI can.
Well, you know, I don't think so because they got those paid phones, and most of those phones are coming from overseas, and they figured out a way to, you know, to make it out. And so what if you find a number? What they gonna do? They in India somewhere, so who cares? You know, they're not gonna be able.
Should I call them and says, this is the commissioner of California. This is IRS commissioner from California. May I speak to the person in charge? They'll hang up right away.
Oh, they do. So what you have to do is if you get a call from IRS, don't engage in a conversation.
IRS don't call people like that, right?
No, they don't. But see, first of all, they do call, but listen, when they call you, you have already got 4 notices.
Right.
So you already know if you owe. So if you didn't get no letter, don't be trying to call them and say, because my neighbor, and I'll get back to the lesson, but my neighbor, this lady called her friend, was so panicked, she was running to the bank to go get a cashier's check to go send it to her. I said, girl, tell her to put her money back in her pocket. That ain't no IRS call. They don't tell you you're going to no jail and all that.
They've been calling me for the last couple of
Just
years.
hang up the telephone. Hang up the
But
phone.
the IRS is warning us, but exactly
That's
what
right.
you said.
They've been on the news.
It was warning.
Do you know that those people have gotten almost $1 billion over the last couple of years from calling people up and scaring them and having them to go and take money? And he told her to send, I think it was $2,500. So, and she was just frightened. So, but luckily, praise the Lord, that Beverly walked across the street. I said, girl, tell her to go put her money back in the bank and don't worry about them people. That's not IRS. So just remember, you're always going to get notices from IRS. And also for the telemarketing, don't engage in no conversation with them. Joyce, you got the best mechanism because your answer machine come up. So all you have to do is just hit and erase. Don't engage in any conversation with them. They'll call you up and then they'll say, hi, Irene. How you doing? I talked to you about 3 or 4 weeks ago. You told me to call you back. So now I go into the Sister Joyce app. When they call, and my family be on the floor rolling, so when they call, hello, Irene. I called you maybe about a month or so ago, and you told me that you may have some work for me, and so I was just checking back with you. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. And the second time, but the first time when they called, I said, hold on a moment for the telephone. Hold on just 1 moment, please. Irene, somebody on the phone for you. And then I said, well, who is it? Who is it?
So
I don't know the man with the business.
So you actually lied.
They'll call and say, you win something. I said, give it to your mother. Give it to your mother.
Okay, so let's go. And the man was going, hello. Good morning. So let's look at the board. Go to the first, we're going to start with the first. But just remember what I said about IRS. That is so important. And if you know anybody that, you need to let them know, because everybody don't look at TV every day and listen to the radio. So if you have that, especially the elderly, please let them know. Hang up the phone. If they ain't got no notices from IRS, just hang up the telephone. Okay, the first verse is, and when the Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James and Salome, had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. Who were they going to anoint?
Jesus.
They were going to. So, what did these women know when they went there? What had they witnessed?
Is that the burial?
Yeah, and then what else? It's on the board. They witnessed who took his body.
Joseph
Joseph. Okay, right. Joseph took his body. So they witnessed that. They witnessed the execution. They witnessed all that. And then Joseph had been assisted by whom? Nicodemus, okay, who had brought along a large amount of what? Myrrh. Okay, and the 2 men had followed the Jewish burial customs as best as they could. And you'll find that in Mark 15, verse 45, and in John 19:40. But they acted in a necessary haste since they had to finish before the Sabbath began at sunset. So now, when did this take place? We've had lots of controversy, but when did this take place?
When did
It
what
says-
take place?
When this, what I just read, and when the Sabbath was passed. Because now, are we going into the
Place
first?
was so-
That's the weekly Sabbath that it's talking about. It's
Okay.
not the, I mean, not the weekly Sabbath that's talking about. That's talking about, that is not the weekly Sabbath, I know that right there.
Ceremonial.
That's the ceremonial
The
Sabbath right there.
ceremonial Sabbath, okay. And so why did they why did it was necessary for them to make haste? Because they had to finish because of what?
Well, his body
Before
couldn't
the
be up
Sabbath
there.
began.
Before the Sabbath began, okay, at sundown, right?
So this was, all right, no, this was on Liberation Day, because it is before the Sabbath, which is a Friday.
What day did they kill him on?
A Wednesday?
Yeah, Friday.
A Wednesday?
Okay. So, but what it says here is they wanted to finish before the Sabbath began at sundown. Okay, so now, what do you think? So how can various Greek traditions help us realize God's presence? And how can we use these traditions? And notice that I'm saying tradition, or the board says traditions, to point to unbelievers to Christ. Do you guys think that it is appropriate at a funeral to point to Jesus instead of pointing to the person that has already passed?
I don't understand that.
Okay, well, some pastors will open the doors of the church at a funeral,
Uh-huh.
and some won't. Some will focus on the dead person or the person that is in their casket. They'll talk about how good he was, this, that, and the other. And you have a bunch of unbelievers. I'll give you an example. I went to a funeral many years ago, and the preacher was like a hip-hop preacher. Now, the lady that passed away, well, I can't say whether she was a believer or not, but he sized up, he told me personally, he sized up the audience. And he had a perfect opportunity to witness to everybody that was in that chapel, but he chose not to. So that's what I mean. So can you do it at a gravesite? Do you do it at the wake? Can you do it at that particular time when there is a passing of a person? Do you witness or do you just go through the motion? That's the question.
I think, go ahead, Pastor.
You mean like an altar call?
Altar call, yes. Yes. So do you take that opportunity or you just go with the funeral and be done with it?
I say, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That you could take the opportunity. I mean, don't make the person invisible that it's not their funeral. I think it should be in a respectful manner, that you don't turn it into a service, but to present the opportunity for someone to witness and hear the word and possibly bring them in. Sure.
Okay. Anyone else? So when you say don't turn it into a service, is that the same thing if you took the opportunity?
Well, I mean, and I'll try to make this quick. I went to a funeral some years ago, and the pastor that did the service, he spoke over the lady. This was a friend of mine. This was his grandmother. He spoke over her and blessed and so forth, and you know how people do with the funerals, going to heaven and all of that. But he also ended with the opportunity to say the things that we need to look at and things that we need to be doing, because death is too late. It's you can't fix it, you can't go back, you can't change, you can't come before him then and say, oh Lord Jesus, I'm sorry, forgive me, I didn't mean to do all of that. It's too late then. So he did take the opportunity to let people know that they need to change their lives, and that's the note that he ended on. That's when I say don't turn it into a preaching service.
Okay. Bert?
When I do funerals, I'm always talking to the people that are alive, because the dead is already dead. And the Bible says the dead knows nothing. And like you said, for me, it's the most important question is salvation. So, and death, that's the other thing, has to do with our mindset. Death reminds us of our mortality, even as a preacher, especially if you don't know the person. Like I said at Brother Johnson's funeral, people like Brother Johnson, to me, is the easiest people to eulogize because you knew his life, right? So then it's okay for me to leave him alone or give him, like Michelle said, give him a little time, his life to use as an example, and then let everybody know that it's up to them. This could be their last. Because, this happened twice. My friend, she's a lot older than I am, her nephew got killed. And she went with her sister, right? Her name was Josephine and her sister name was Dorothy. Dorothy's son got killed, and Josephine was very close to her nephew. And both of them, two sisters went to the morgue to identify the body. Josephine dropped dead.
Right there.
Right there. And then another case, Hoda and her mom, Jehovah's Witness, both of them, one was the mom was in the hospital. The daughter went to see the mom, and she didn't leave the hospital. She got sick, and she died before the mom, and the mom died the following day, and they buried both of them at the same time. And then when they went to the funeral, the whole family started fighting. So that's
another thing. They fight like,
yes. Over property.
I know, they fight like I don't know what, and it's ridiculous though that they fight and how they do. And sometimes it's not even over property; it's over little stupid stuff, So it's like it's over stuff that well, that watch belongs to me. Well, no, I want to watch. We see that stuff all the time on like yesterday we saw it on I think it was one of those church shows. I don't remember which one it was. And this little Asian lady was fighting her husband's friend. She was a merchant marine where she go out 6 months, so they perceived it to be her leaving him sick. And so the man died when she was out at sea. And when she got back, he thought because he was his friend and took care of him for 6 months, he was entitled to everything that was there. The only reason that the little Asian lady didn't get a judgment is because she couldn't prove or show what was in the house. All she had to do was just figure out, and so he thought he got away with it, but he really didn't, And but those are the things that do happen after funerals. People get to fighting and they get to worry about who got what, this, that, and the other. So like another pastor told us, say all the time, just spend what you got right now, then you ain't gonna have nothing to fight over then. So don't leave a thing for them, because that's all they're gonna do is spend it. It'll be gone in 6 months anyways, and depending on what you leave, so it don't really matter. Now, if you got little bitty kids, stuff like that, that's different. But if you got some grown kids, and the devil did just put a bad word in my ears, but
You're not gonna say it?
no, no, I'm gonna be like Arthur. No. So the path of mourning. And so, and very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the sun, at the rising of the sun. So what happened there? So the women had set out when it was yet dark. And you'll find that in John chapter 20. Intended to complete their task. And what was their task? What were they going to do? They were going to now anoint his body. So their desire ministry is an acknowledgement that the death has had its way. But Lord, they found out later. So they expected the body to have no warmth, that it was going to be cold, and the precious life of their teacher was gone. And to them, the fact that this is the first day of the week, it had no special significance. First day of the week, the Sabbath, that's always has been a place to argue or to debate. I just got to the point, Berlin, that I'm just not going to debate God's word because it is what it is. No matter what. You can look at it to the left, you can look at it to the right, but it's not going to change. His word is what it is.
What's the debate? I missed that.
Well, there's a lot to debate. There's millions of things that you could debate. You could say it was the first day, the second day, the third day. You could say this, you could say that. You could say all across that 66 books, there's a whole lot of things that you can debate in that Bible if you choose to do that. I'm saying I don't choose to do that because the word is what it is.
About when the first day of the week
No,
is?
I'm saying period, anything in the Bible.
Oh,
Okay, so anything in the Bible. Say, so the women are, did you have something else?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What about things that you really believe, like for example, gay marriage? I mean, and you have children. What if, God forbid, your son comes home and says that, you know, this is what he believes and he wants to bring his partner at your house? Would you accept it without? Okay, so your beliefs, you gotta stand up for your belief. You just gotta pick. Some people
No,
just
what
pick
I
and choose
am
their
saying,
belief.
I am not going to debate with my son as to right or wrong. I'm still love my son. But my son was brought up in the right manner. And if he chose to go to the left and he has been taught, I still love my son. But I am not going to debate with him if he says, well, I don't see nothing wrong with it, da 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 da. No, it is what it is. I'm not going to debate that.
But
It
you're
is
still
what
gonna
it is.
show them, though, right?
Of course I am, but I'm not going to stand there and argue with him and say, you're going to hell and all this other stuff. I'm not going to do that.
No, you're not
Okay?
supposed to do that.
Because it is what it is. It is wrong. You know, and we have a couple of family members that are gay, and some people, that's them. So I'm going to flip the question on you. Would you let Barry come to your house with his partner?
Well, Sister Irene, you know me to a certain point when it comes to certain things. My belief is,
Now you're getting like Tommy.
no, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
I've always answered your question. My belief is that tomorrow is not promised, so I'm not going to play around with the truth. When it comes to gay issues, I'm one way according to what the word says. When it comes to the Sabbath on Sunday, I'm one way.
Okay. So
I
Barry
don't-
comes to knock on your door and he's got his partner with him. What are you going to say?
I'll let him in.
You going to let him in?
Yeah, so I could talk to them. You can't reach people if you can't talk to them. But once he once he get to understand where I'm coming from, I am not gonna.
What if he doesn't understand it? What if he came from out of town? He moved to Atlanta. Him and his partner come.
Atlanta, that's the capital.
That's right. And people don't know that. I learned that in 2000. That's
Yeah.
when it started. Remember when I was back there, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I had no idea. Me and Andrew was living right in the middle of Midtown. I had no idea. All those gay partners that was going to the store, we thought they were just co-workers. We didn't know. So, but that's the
So he comes from out of town.
and he's got his partner with him.
Mhm.
And he thinks he's going to spend the night at your house. What you going to do?
I can answer that this way. I was in Belize, and my brother tried to force. He left his wife, and he and his wife separated, and he had him another woman, right? And I'm expecting him to come stay with me, and he's showing up with this new woman. I said, well, you know what? I can't turn them away because it's nighttime, right? I'm not going to put them out. I said, but you're not going to sleep together in my house. I got a 3-bedroom house, 1 bedroom for her, 1 bedroom for you. They got upset. They went to a hotel. Hey, there's only one way to roll. I don't play around with the truth and what I believe.
But you still didn't really answer my question.
I'm not going to turn my way, but I ain't going to sleep in my house.
Okay, so then you're not going to let them spend the night at your house. You're going to send Barry at 12 o'clock at night and make them go find a hotel.
I tell Berk, I said, son, this is your house. This is probably what you grew up in. You could stay, but whatever that is.
You're getting more like Tommy. I'm going to have to.
Nah, I'll put him in another room and tell him you got to go the next morning.
You might as well let him be.
You got to have compassion on people for you to reach them.
I know, I understand that. I understand that. And I'll get you a picture, you know. But my point is, I'm still not going to stand here and argue with someone over the Word of God. I'm not. It is what it is. Now, if I can reach him, that's one thing. But I'm not going to stand and get in a debate. It is, it's not, it is, it's not, it's not. That's what I'm talking about.
That's unproductive.
Sonia, will you tell me what would you do if one of your children brought a gay partner to your house?
I would let them in, but I would be the same way.
And that
I
is?
would not
she and her friends came to my house. I said, listen, you ain't married yet, and I'm going to sleep together. Now, you sleep with me, you sleep over here. You know, there's some things that if kind of people want you to believe, they go along with the truth. And you don't need to fight, because you got to love more than you fighting and fighting.
And so
But
you
then the Lord can just stand up for righteousness.
And you hit the same point, the right point, and that is L-O-V-E, love, and the godly love, the love that God has for us, so yes. But we still have to, not, because if you let them come and stay, then you really are
Agreeing with
agreeing to what they're doing, you know. You're agreeing. And my step-granddaughter, I had no idea that the lady that she brought to my house that came that they were an item until my daughter told me like at the last minute, you know. So I was nice, but I let her know. I told her, you know, I stood her to the side and I explained it to her that this is wrong according to the Bible. I said the same thing with my neighbor's niece. Said, you know that it's wrong. And she agreed, and we moved on. So, Berlin, I saw your hand.
I have a good one for you. I'm sorry. Jeanette's friend came from Belize to stay with us, and she was a Catholic. And it was during the time where she wanted to do certain things at the church. I told her, look, if you're going to stay at my house, you got to come to church when we come to church. Right? And she slept on it, and the next morning she came to church. She even sang at church. And up to today, well, I haven't spoken to her in a few years, but the last time we saw her, she still remembered the time when she came. And I put my foot down on whether or not she was going to go to church on Sunday and
But you
stay in
didn't
my
put
house.
your foot down like you got a belt and was going to browbeat her. You explained to her what your beliefs were, and
That's
you
it.
did it, you know, according to how you're supposed to do it. You didn't say, look, you cannot. Because I remember somebody that was in this church did that same thing, and her relative was at odds for years after that. So we have to be careful, because when you put self in it, you know, then it's not going to work. But when you put God in it, it's going to work. So, verse 3, and they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the Sabbath? So, what they're saying, who's going to get this heavy door and move it?
Right.
Okay, so they knew that they weren't going to be able to do it at all, being the two women. So that's where the Jewish people came and believed that someone stole the body and rolled it out and stole it. So in verse 4 it says, and when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away, for it was very what?
Great.
Great. That means it was like
Big.
a big, gigantic stone. My question is, I wonder how many people it took to put the stone there in the first place. Any
Yeah,
ideas?
it's a lot. Remember one of the Gospels said that they had so-called soldiers there? I think it was John that said that they post soldiers there so that they don't steal the body.
I said one,
Yeah.
I said it was a
So then there's another question that comes up there. So were the soldiers supposed to stand guard there?
They were.
They were? Okay. And they were supposed to stand guard. So when Mary got there, where were the soldiers?
They left.
And then because they rolled away, the stone was already, the stone was already rolled away when we got there.
I know. So, okay, but no, listen to my question, and maybe I'm not saying it clear. You got the soldiers that are
Posted.
posted there. The stone is rolled away.
No, it's not rolled away yet. The soldiers are posted there when they put Jesus in
And
there.
how long? I guess the question would be then, how long were they there then?
Well, they were there till when the stone rolled away. They didn't know how it was rolled away, so they ran.
Okay, so they
Yeah.
left. Okay, so by the time Mary got there,
It was rolled,
gone.
it was over.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
ma'am.
Now, who put the stone there and who put the soldiers there? That's what we're saying. They said, let us do it because they might say that they come and steal his body. So they're the ones, but when they put the stone there, it's like seal him, but they can't get out. Okay?
Could be.
It tells us they said put the stone there, make it sure, because lest they come
But
and
who were
take
they?
away.
They were the soldiers?
The ones that didn't believe in Jesus.
The high priest. The high
They
priest.
didn't- That's the one that didn't believe.
Okay. So, what do you think? Okay, and what ways have you experienced God's power this would be an incident with the soldiers. In what ways have you experienced God's power and presence through the uncertainties that accompany the loss of a loved one? Or have you? Have you experienced God's power? I'll give you one example. I think it was God's power. When my father was on his deathbed, which I didn't really realize, I think I said this before years ago. I knew that he had pneumonia and he was very, 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 very ill. So I'm running around the hospital. It was almost like a dream. And I was trying to find a chaplain to come help me pray for my father. And I saw this white man, he was a chaplain, and I said, could you please come with me to pray for my dad? And he said, okay, I'll be there. And he didn't show up. And then I'm still waiting for him to come. I don't know where my brothers were. They were either on their way, and I'm still running. I'm still going to the hospital trying to find another chaplain. And then I saw the same chaplain. He said, oh, I remember you. I'm going to get you. This is a big general hospital. And then he didn't come. And then I got on my knees, and I started praying. I said, Lord, can you please save my dad or my father, or either give me one more day? And he did. He took my father the very next day. So was that the presence of the Lord?
Prayer works.
So anybody else had any experience? Nobody had any experience with the Lord?
Let me excuse this. You know,
What about, before you ask that, what about the support of others? Were you in a predicament where you were losing a loved one or lost one, and you had the support of people to come around you? Everybody can get your grace hand.
Yeah.
There's nobody in here that has not lost a loved one way or another. Brother Ozer?
Oh. Well, as you know, son passed away 2-3 weeks ago. We had the funeral, so forth. My son had 2 children, a son and a daughter. And the daughter is about 23 years old. She called me up one night, tells me that her dad, my son, passed away. I went into a mild state of shock. So I told her I'd call her back in 5 minutes, and I hung the phone up to get over the shock that what she had just told me. Then I started thinking about all the things that I needed to do to get my son buried, get him put in the ground. So I said some prayers about it, and I asked the good Lord to give me strength to do what I have to do. So I went down there, and they live over near Edwards Air Force Base. So I drove over there, and I got there just when they were moving his body from the house into the coroner's truck to take him to the coroner's office. I went in. There were some visitors there with my granddaughter and my grandson. So I politely got rid of them because I wanted to know what had happened and all the et ceteras. So they left. And so the following day, well, I'll say, as you say, long story short, I thought I was going to have to try and put everything together, and I didn't know where to start with it. And it was like the good Lord told me, Otha, step aside and watch me do this. He put Tanisha to work. He put her brother, younger brother, to work. They went through the whole process. They didn't break down. They didn't panic. They met other people, went out on my son's job, and got help. And they had a team of about 10 people working for them. And I'm just standing back in awe, watching all this happen before my very eyes. And it was like God said, oh, just step aside and watch me deal with this. That's what I did. And everything went down perfect.
So when we step aside and let him handle it, he will. Yeah. Sister Joyce, I'm sorry.
No, this has nothing to do with this. A couple of years ago, during the hot night, I was in bed. And I felt my head kind of funny. And I tell myself, you're dehydrated. So to leave my bedroom, to walk into the bathroom, to come to the kitchen. That's all I knew. And when I come to my senses, I know I'd fallen on the ground. But when I came to my senses, it didn't let my mind to call one human being. The Lord said, you see, you never know. I tell you, I'm here for you, never know. So I was learning every day that God, sometimes I take it very personal. I don't first all speaking. But because of where I am right now, as I say over and over, I can't call John or Tommy to do me this. Father, you know where this is, Father. And the Lord is very real to me because I'm so dependent on Him. I know I bring love, I know that people are there for me, but my God is ever present.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, Michelle?
My question, it's about the lesson before it's over. But in verse 7, it says...
Wait, don't jump ahead of me because we're in verse 5.
Okay, because we ain't going to make it to verse
We
7.
won't make it. We'll make it.
Okay, all right.
How many minutes are
5.
We'll make it.
A little over 5.
Okay, I'll give you a little grace period. Okay. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were afraid. Now, remember I asked you guys that earlier? So who was he?
That's an angel.
He was an angel. Okay. So, okay, what are some of the experiences you've had while visiting? Well, we already went through that. So, in verse 6, and he said unto them, be not afraid, they were saying, you're seeking Jesus of Nazareth, which they crucified, he is risen. So he told them basically what happened. Is that not right? Okay, and did he do it in words of comfort, do you think? Did he comfort them? Were they scared?
Yeah.
Or they were afraid?
That's what it says. That's frightened, right?
Okay, so they were afraid. Okay, so when was the time that belief in resurrection was especially helpful? And how did that work? So was it that you knew somebody that was going to pass, that you believed, at least that's what I'm looking at, that you believed that they weren't believers? I think the heartache for me is when I know or I think or have a feeling that someone is not a believer when they pass. Because there's nothing I can do for them. But I always have hope that at the last minute, maybe somebody were able to witness to them, or maybe they made it in. I don't know. So now, Michelle, we're at 7. Go ahead and read it.
My question...
So read the scripture first.
But go your way, tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him, as he said unto you.
Okay.
Why was it said that tell his disciples and Peter?
Why was it? I'm sorry.
Why is it
It
stated?
says, but go your way, tell his disciples. Because who's talking now?
Jesus was telling Jesus is
The angel is talking. The angel is talking.
The angel is
It's the
talking.
angel that's going to talk.
Right. So it says, but go your way, tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee. So he's saying that that Jesus went where? He went ahead. Went
No, I'm
before.
talking about the disciples and Peter. Why was Peter separated from?
Oh, now I don't know. Why was Peter separated?
Didn't Peter deny Jesus?
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. Okay.
Did the
Did you
devil
hear that?
work
The
into
devil,
Peter?
they were separated at that point.
Yeah, and
So,
Peter.
okay.
Compassion.
Okay.
Because see, that's
Also,
what I'm
Peter,
talking
could I say
about
something?
Yes,
what
please.
this stuff means.
And also Peter was still in a daze of a shock. Because he denied the Lord 3 times. So he was still suffering from that conviction that
What
he
he
carried.
had done.
So-
So he had to place, this is how I see it then, he had to place greater emphasis on Peter because of what Peter had done. So Peter was probably like we do, beat ourselves up like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why? So it would be like, go tell Advent Fellowship and Irene, that I say do such and such and such. Well, I'm a part of Advent Fellowship, so why are you placing emphasis just on Irene or me? It's because there was an incident. So that's what I see, Michelle. Do you see something else?
That's what I see too.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So, and they went out quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for they trembled, they were still, and they were amazed. They didn't say anything to themselves, they didn't say anything to anybody, they were afraid. So they had a whole lot of emotions, they were overwhelmed, And you would be too if you were in that predicament. So, and the fear it's basically fear. Sometimes it's a typical reaction, and especially here in the Gospel of Mark on the part of those confronted with the true nature of Jesus, because they witnessed that. We read about it, we know it, we believe it was in our heart, but they were there. So the women spake freely after they calmed down a bit, and you'll find that in Matthew 28, verse 8, and Luke 24, verse 9. So what part have you seen? What part have you seen fear play in a Christian witness for? So in other words, my question is: have you ever been afraid to witness to anybody? Have you ever been in a predicament that you were afraid? I know you were. I know what your answer is. Anybody else? Have you guys ever been afraid to witness? Nobody?
No, I've never been afraid.
So,
What do you think my answer would be? No?
well, yeah, because you answered that last week. About you took a stand. You weren't afraid to take a stand on what you believe.
In those circumstances, but you got times when I'm afraid to witness.
Oh,
I think everybody
Okay,
has.
just give me one example. Give me one example. And everybody stand while he's talking, please. I mean, actually afraid, Berlin.
As human beings, we're all afraid to hear the word no. Right? It said that's the reason why it's because of rejection. That's the reason why public speaking is more frightening than death for most people. You tell someone that never done it to go up front, they'd rather have this whole bill and swallow them up. It's because of rejection. They want you to like them. People want you to be liked. So when you see a group of people, or especially certain people, case in point, to not to belabor this, my friend and I, he was getting married on the Sabbath. Right? I've told this story many times before. I met my friend. He's my best friend. He was getting married on the Sabbath, and he and I had a pact for years. Whatever you do, don't get married on the Sabbath. And he agreed. Well, his new wife that he met, they were going to get married on the Sabbath. And he came down from Riverside to talk me into going to the wedding on the Sabbath. And I was actually afraid of the conversation. But like everything else throughout my life, and I believe throughout most people's lives, not because you're afraid of it, you don't do it.
Rejection.
Right? You do it. I was afraid not because of the outcome. I was afraid because I know how important this meant to him. And I cared about it. And long story short, I didn't go to the wedding. And he didn't talk to me for 3 years. And even to today, the relationship is strained because of that.
Is he still with the same lady?
He's still with the same lady. Oh, you know what else was the problem? Her first husband was my friend. We went to school together. So I told her, I said, not only you married on the Sabbath, this woman has already been married. And she's been married to my friend. She had 2 kids for him. But he died. So when he died, he called me up and says, well, what is your excuse now? So I am hopeful for him in our relationship as friends. But I was afraid to have that conversation.
Just keep praying.
Yeah.
I saw your hand hot.
I was just thinking about when we had to go door to door to encourage people to come and fellowship with us. That was the hardest thing for me to do.
Oh yeah, everybody was
So I
scared.
said, you know what? I'm gonna not hear to the talking.
Okay, Jay, were you